Welcome to chemistry class. In today's class, we shall be looking at the topic atomic structure. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe the structure of the atom, identify subatomic particles, and calculate the mass number of an atom. What atoms are you made of? Atoms are the smallest part of an element. Just like all materials in the universe, humans are also made of atoms. Which atoms do you think are most common in the human body? You may pause this video and list out the elements that you think you are made of. After listing them out, identify the one you think is the most common. Well done. If you have listed any of these atoms, then you are correct. Sulfur, potassium, phosphorus. But the most common atom, element, and atoms in the human body is oxygen, which is about 65%. How big are atoms? Are atoms really big? We said all substances are made up of tiny particles called atoms. But how tiny and how big are they? Atoms have a diameter of about 1/100 millionth. That is 1/100 million, which is far too small to be seen with your eyes. They are so tiny and small. However, some microscopes allow scientists to see the outlines of atoms. In one glass of water, for instance, there are around 12 septillion oxygen atoms and 24 septillion hydrogen atoms. Wow! That is so many atoms, though very tiny. What particles are atoms made of? Atoms are made up of three smaller particles. We have the protons, the neutrons, and the electrons. Protons and neutrons exist in the dense core at the center of the atom called the nucleus. So you have at this center, you have the nucleus. In the nucleus, you can see the color green represent neutron, while the color red represent proton. The proton and the neutron are in the center of the atom, and this center is called the nucleus. This proton and neutron together can also be called nucleons. Nucleons, because they are in the nucleus. However, the electrons are spread out around the edge of the atom. They orbit the nucleus in layers called shells. We can also call that energy levels. Mass and electrical charge. There are two properties of protons, neutrons, and electrons that are especially important. Out of all the properties, the mass and the electrical charge are so important. Mass and electrical charge. Now, the proton, neutron, and electron have a mass. The mass of the proton is 1, and it has a positive charge represented as +1. The neutron has a mass of 1 and a charge of 0, meaning that it has no charge. It's not charged. It's neither positive nor negative. Okay, we can also say it's neutral. Electron has a mass of almost 0. Of course, the real mass is 1/18,840, which is almost 0, because if you divide that, you have 0.00005. So we call this value to be almost 0, and it has a charge, it has a negative charge represented as -1. Now, these properties are very important because they are the properties that ensure that an atoms have no charge, in them. Since we expect that the atoms of an element contain equal numbers of protons and electrons, so the overall charge will be 0, meaning +1 -1, so no charge. So this atom has no charge. When you see an atom that is charged, is no longer referred to as an atom. It's referred to as an ion. So atoms have no charge because they have equal number of proton and electron, and so the charge will cancel out each other. So, having this, if I have proton to be +2 and have electron to be -2, of course, I have 0, so no charge. So let's do this quickly. Pause the video. Arrange these properties into neutron, proton, and electrons. Which one is located in the nucleus? Which one have a relative mass of almost 0? Which one has no charge? Arrange all these particles. Pause this video and arrange them. If you get less than 80%, go over the video again. Okay, I know that you have just done this. Self-assess yourself. So you can see neutrons located in the nucleus. It has no charge. It has a relative mass of 1. Protons, relative mass of 1, located in the nucleus, has a positive charge. Electrons, relative mass of almost 0, located in shells orbiting nucleus, and a negative charge. If you score less than 80%, go over the video again and play the game. Okay, let's move on. So how many protons? Now that we know that atoms contain proton, neutron, and electron, how many protons do we now have? Each element has a definite and fixed number of protons. All the atoms of a particular element always contain the same number of protons. For instance, hydrogen atoms only contain 1 proton. Carbon atoms always contain 6 protons. If the number of protons changes, then the atoms become a different element. And this proton is also called atomic number. So when you arrange elements in the periodic table, you arrange them according to the atomic number. This atomic number is the number of protons that is present in that element. Okay, so the number of protons in an atom is known as the atomic number or proton number. So for instance, that is the smallest number that you have here. So the proton number in carbon is 6. It is always the smallest number if you check your periodic table. So this atomic number is the number of protons that is present in the atom of this element. So let's try this. What are the atomic numbers of this element? Sodium, iron, tin, and fluorine. You may pause the video and put your answer here. So I'll do the first one for you. Since proton number is the smallest number, so I will have 11. So complete the rest. Well done. If you get less than 80%, go over the video once again. So these are the proton number for these elements. So what is mass number? Electrons have a mass of almost 0, which means that the mass of each atom results almost entirely from the number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus. Since the mass of there are 3 subatomic particles, proton, neutron, electron, but the electron has no charge. It means that it does not contribute to the mass number. Remember, mass is the number of particles that a substance contains, or the amount of matter in a substance. So if the electron has a mass of almost 0, it therefore means that it does not contribute to the mass of the atom. So the sum of the protons and neutrons in an atom's nucleus is the mass number. Okay, so this time around, the mass number is the larger of the 2 numbers shown. And this mass number is gotten from proton and the neutrons that are in the nucleus of the atom. You need to add both of them together. So let's take a quick practice. You have hydrogen, you are given the proton and the neutron. So since we know that proton plus neutron, so that is simply 1 plus 0. So this gives us this 1. And for this, for lithium, proton is 3, neutron is 4. Add 3 plus 4 and you get 7. That is the mass number. This mass number can also be called nucleon number. Nucleon number. Because the protons and neutrons are in the nucleus of the atom. Also for aluminium, we have proton number of 13, neutron 14. You sum up 13 plus 14 and you have 27. Now, let's take a look at how this is gotten again. So, remember we said the mass of proton is 1. The mass of neutron is 1. The mass of electron is almost 0. So it therefore means that the electron does not contribute to the mass of an atom. But mass is proton plus neutron. So I will need to add for hydrogen, that is 1 plus 0, get 1. For lithium, you have 3 plus 4, then you get 7. And for aluminium, you have 13 plus 14, and you get 27. If you are given the mass, you are given the mass number, and you are looking for proton, then you need to subtract. For instance, if you need to find 14, all I need to do is neutron is equals mass minus proton. Likewise, if I need to find the proton equals mass minus neutron. So remember, we said mass number is number of protons plus number of neutrons. So try and calculate for this. You may pause this video, calculate for helium. The proton is 2 and the neutron is 2. What will be the mass number? Check your answer. For copper, proton is 29, neutron is 35. What will be the mass number? Check your answer. For cobalt, proton is 27, neutron is 32. Check your answer. And for iodine, proton is 53, neutron is 74. Check your answer. And for germanium, proton is 32 and neutron is 41. Check your answer. Well done for the work that you've done so far. In summary, for what we have learned today, we can say that the nucleus is made up of protons and neutrons, positively charged because of the protons, and dense because it contains all the mass of the atom in a tiny space, knowing that the electron does not reside in the nucleus. Electrons are very small and light and negatively charged, able to be lost or gained in chemical reactions, and found tinily spread around the outside of the nucleus, orbiting in layers called shells. Thank you for. So I want you to take this true or false quiz. You may pause this video and just answer true or false for the questions. Now you may check your answer. If you score less than 80% in this quiz, go over the video again and ensure that you score 100%. Thank you for coming to chemistry class.